I will be joined by my capable colleagues from the MIS unit, mainly our administrator, Lesego Mahwana, who will be today's presenter. She's also assisted by two fellow administrators within the unit and a coordinator, who will be our moderators for today. You will notice, just a bit of housekeeping, you will notice that the chat and the video and the microphone have been disabled. This is just so that the process flows up until the end, where time allowing, we will allow for some comments or questions to come through. But during the session, you are encouraged to use the Q&A section on this meeting platform, where you will post questions, comments, suggestions, and one of our capable moderators will gladly assist and respond. We are also joined by our fellow business unit colleagues from the various merSETA departments. One last thing to note is that the session is recorded, and if you don't want to be part of the recording, you are more than welcome to exit. But if that's okay with you, the session is being recorded for minuting and training purposes. On that note, I would like to officially open today's webinar. And this is but one of many webinars that are going to come, where we will be taking new SDFs and some SDFs that are familiar with the system through the process of the activities and functions of the merSETA. We've got an agenda that we're going to be using to follow. Is that today we are going to cover, obviously, number one is the webinar sessions. This is just a quarterly calendar for quarter one. We have started a bit early because we are aware that there are some grant windows open and there are new SDFs that would like to participate in the process. Noting that this session will be obviously leaning towards new SDFs that want to register for the first time on the Nsdms, and it also can be used as a refresher for the already existing SDFs that might need a refresher to show them how the process is done. We then will promptly move to bullet point number 2, which is the registration process, where the presenter will take us through the process of registering as an SDF, including touching on some of the internal activities that merSETA does. But we will solely be focusing on the SDF process in terms of new applicants. We will have, obviously, time allowing, as I said, comments, and then we'll obviously head for closure. And before we do the closure, I would just like to remind colleagues that within the Q&A section, we have pinned a survey form that we would like to have you as our attendees comment in order to obviously give us some feedback in terms of what you liked and some of the areas that we need to improve on. So during the session or after the session, you can access the link, noting that it is closing tomorrow at 5 p.m. So after 5 p.m., you'll not be able to complete the survey. Now, in terms of the planned SDF webinars, we've got a whole host of sessions that are planned, starting, of course, with today, which is the new SDF registration process. We've got the stakeholder, it's you guys, the business process owner. Obviously, it is supported by our internal central admin. And then it's going to be followed up with MG applications, DG applications, and then it goes to assessor moderator applications for new assessors and moderators. And then it's the provider SDP accreditation, and then it goes. So this will be also posted up on our socials and mailing lists, where you will have an opportunity to attend when available. And the link will be made available at least 2 days before the session starts, in order for registrations to take place. So this is the calendar for February. It also includes March, and we've got 3 sessions from mid-March up until the 1st of April. So it is a jam-packed session. We are going to do this every quarter. So if you missed the sessions this quarter, there is going to be some time to obviously join the other sessions in the subsequent quarters as well. With what we'll be covering today in terms of the SDF registration process, there's two main processes that obviously go into a new SDF registering for the first time, which is the SDF registration process, and then it's followed by the company registration process. On the right, we have noted prerequisite documents that you will need to obviously fulfill each of the activities. Namely, for SDF registration, it's the certified ID copy, passport, or proof of identification, and of course, the SDF appointment letter. This is the appointment letter that's obviously completed on the company letterhead that then appoints you as the SDF in order to transact on SDF responsibilities and duties on behalf of the said organization. Now, as part of the SDF registration process, there is a company registration process. This is for companies that do not exist currently on the merSETA, meaning it's companies such as NGOs or companies from other SETAs transferring in and out and etc. So that's the process for company registration. It is also coupled with the SDF registration process, and the prerequisite documents required to complete that process at minimum are the company registration certificate. This is applicable for private companies. And then we've got the PPE certificate or the equivalent affidavit of the PPE certificate. And lastly, it's going to be the tax clearance certificate of the said company. Now, with that being said, I will hand over to my presenter for today, Lesego Makwana, to take us through the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lesego, and welcome once more to today's webinar, where I'll be taking you through the process of registering as an SDF on the Nsdms system. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay, so the screen, it takes you to the landing page. So if you look at the screen now, what you are looking at is the landing page. This is the one that the external stakeholders will be using. It's a link for production link. This is our production link. But for the purpose of this session today, I'm going to be using the 197 link, which is our internal link just for this purpose. So once you get to the landing page, this link is obviously going to be shared on the manual, and it's going to be shared again on the chats. So once you get to the landing page, this is the screen that you get to see. We've got people that are already existing SDFs on merSETA. Their profile are already linked to the company. So what you need to do is that you will click on the login page. If you're already linked to the company and you have a profile with us, this is the link that you need to click. But for this purpose, I'm going to be taking through you registering as a new SDF member. So I'm clicking on the register button. All right. So once you get to the register button, this is where now I see I've got my network is not so smooth, because if you're looking into the screen that is showing now, is the POPI screen that indicates there are terms and reference of POPI. That obviously it is important that every SDF needs to go through as the notice and ensure that there's a checkbox that you click here. There's a checkbox. So let me just refresh it. Because I see it's still, so I'm just going to refresh it. Try once more. There we go. So here is our POPI Act, and these are the rules or terms and reference of the POPI Act. So what it does, we are advising every employee, every SDF, to ensure that they go through the POPI. These are the conditions and the laws that guide you in terms of protection of the personal protection. So make sure that you do give a consent, because you cannot proceed any further if you do not get the button checked. So I'm going to check the button as a new SDF registration, and I click on the submit. Once you get to the submit page, you get to see many options. So on the system, you can do, there's workflows that you can take, like for SDF registration, there's Skills Development Provider registration, and furthermore. But for this purpose, we are going to be clicking on the SDF registration so that we proceed, because we are doing the SDF registration process. So a new user will be clicking on the SDF registration tab, which will then takes you to the pop-up SDF registration pop-up page. When you get to the SDF registration pop-up page, you've got RSA ID and you've got another option of entering your passport number. So you can put your 13 RSA ID number. And as Stanley had already discussed or mentioned initially, that you need to have your RSID number, the certified one, ready. And there's another documentation, which is the employee documentation, company registration document. So I'm going to be proceeding. I'll be using the passport number in this case. And I will say, that's the passport number. It's made 987. So once you click on the passport number, the next pop-up page that comes is the SDF registration page. So on the SDF registration page, it is obviously the personal details. Ensure that you've got the relevant information loaded here, because what we do internally is we do a verification. The ID, certificate ID that you have uploaded, we check if it goes along hand in hand with this. So my advice is that, colleagues, we've seen other our stakeholders providing incorrect information, where obviously the registration application will get rejected in that case. So for furthermore, I'm just going to proceed by entering details here. And for middle name, it's not a mandatory field. So just please do note that the asterisk are showing that the fields are mandatory field, meaning that you cannot proceed any further without ensuring that you have entered that specific field that is needed. So ensure that these fields are populated. So the email address will be, I'm going to use test.merSETA and at gmail.com. Please, stakeholders, please note that if the email address is incorrect, automatically it's like you're waiting for a failure, because the application is not going to go through. Obviously, this application is going to populate the confirmation email into incorrect email address. So once more again, please do notice that this email address needs to be working. It needs to be functional. So if it's not, the application is not going to go through. And it's looking for cell numbers as a mandatory field. We have telephone numbers. It's also a mandatory field. We'll be able to skip it. There we go. So I'm going to be uploading my certified. Coming to the identity document, ensure that your ID is not blurry, because if it's blurry, it's not clear enough, we're going to have that challenge where now it's going to be rejected by our, in terms of verification. So you need to ensure that we've got the relevant document there. So I'm going to put a clear certified document and click on the continue button. When you click on the continue button, so it says my email already exists. Okay, so this is the incorrect email address that I've already used. Let me use another one, because we are saying we are new users, so the email needs to be very new. It shouldn't be an existing email address. Thank you. So further moving on, I'm clicking on the continue button. When you click on that continue button, there's a change then there are 3 options that you get to see on the screen that's on the company registration form. So it's an entity. So there are 3 types of entities. As a company, you need to be linked to a specific entity, and you must obviously specify whether you are paying levies to merSETA. Are you an existing non-levy paying entity? Are you a non-levy paying entity? So in this case, we are going to be using a non-levy paying entity for the purpose of this session. And yeah, Stanley, can you maybe just come in just to brief a bit why only the levy paying entities are going to be acceptable in this case? Thank you.
Thank you. For the purposes of today's session, we are going to utilize an non-levy paying entity. This is to obviously go through the process to show colleagues the required information for company registration. The reason we are not using existing L numbers that exist on the Nsdms is that for a new SDF, they will not maybe link themselves to an existing company. If that does happen in the case, that will be covered in a later stage and also through the manuals. But for the purposes of today's demo, we are going to be using non-levy paying to obviously facilitate and go through the whole process. Thanks, Lesego.
Thank you, Stan. So I've selected the non-levy paying option there. And here I've got a pop-up screen now that shows that I've got a non-levy paying company, and obviously it's looking for the important information, the fields that I need to populate. So I'm going to be using Met Holdings as my company, and it's looking for the company registration number. This is obviously the registration number that is on your CIPC document. So ensure that it's a relevant one there. And the sequence is something like this sequence. Email address is still the same, test1. Okay, so it's test1. merSETA. Telephone numbers. We've got the SIC code. So the system is looking for the SIC code where you are specifically indicating the type of company or the type of entity that you are. So we've got relevant options here. You can be a training, you can be in a food, you can be in an accountant. So there's more options that you get to select. So in this case, I'll just select a training entity, that we are teachers training entity. That's what we do at Met Holdings. And when you get to this option, there's an organization type. You specify the type of entity that you have. We've got multiple options. You can be a private entity or a public entity. I'm going to select private, and which SETA are you paying your levies to? So it's very important. We need that confirmation here to say which SETA are you paying your levies to. So I've selected merSETA in this case, and that's why reason you are seeing a pop-up that is displaying. It's only telling you or letting you that we are going to do verification process internally, and it's going to be submitted for our legal reviews. So basically that's it. So once we are done with this one, the SDF, are you part of the training committee? It's asking you as an SDF if you are part of the training committee. You can either select it. If not, if you're not part of their training committee, still okay. The system will allow you to proceed. At this point, it's a point where now the 4 documents now that you need, as Stanley had highlighted earlier on, to say we've got about 6 documents that we need for the whole process that needs to be ready. At this point, the system is looking for the SDF company appointment letter, of which obviously you need to be having it in one of your folders there, SDF appointment letter. And the second one will be your registration certificate, company registration certificate. Company registration certificate. I have. Okay, so it should be here. Company registration certificate. No, it's not that one. But I'm just going to select that one. It's looking for the BEE certificate with affidavit, and it's looking for the tax clearance certificate as well. So here is my tax certificate. Then once you are done, there's a save and submit button. So at this point, the system still allows you that you can, if you're not happy with certain information here, you do have an option to go back to the login page. And if you're happy with every details or even all the documentations, you have the option to save and submit. The company name is going to populate to show that the name of the company that you are in, the entity that the SDF is going to be linked to is this one, Happiness. You submit your company registration. Now a pop-up is going to come with a label showing that your registration request is being processed internally. So once you have done this process, there's an email notification that you are going to receive. So for the email notification, I'm going to show you how the email notification looks like.
Hi, colleagues. Whilst Lesego is showing you how the email notification looks like, I do note that we've got a couple of hands. As I stated earlier on, if you've got a question, please post it on the Q&A, and time allowingly, we will open up for possible comments after Lesego has done presenting. So if you can post your questions on the Q&A option, thank you. So as the CEO is retrieving the email, there are internal processes that take place after you have made your first application process. What happens is that internally, your application will be reviewed based on the documents that you've uploaded and also the information that you've captured. Once the internal review process has been done, excuse me, your application process will prompt an email to come through. So this is how the SDF registration email looks like. This is the first part, and you will get your username and password for you to use to access Nsdms in the future for you to complete the registration process. Back to you, Lesego.
Yes, thank you, Stan. And this is how the email is going to look. So once you receive the email, there's a confirmation link that you need to click here. So that link, when you click on it, it's going to populate and bring you to the new screen. The screen is the one. Let me show you how it's going to look, where you have to reset your password. It gives you a password reset screen. So I'm going to show you how the password reset screen is going to look like. And there we go. So the password reset screen is going to be looking like this, where it will now pop asking you to enter the new password. So when you are creating a password, the one that you are generating, these are the the alert that you need to look at, and in terms of creating a new password. So it says the password must be at least 8 characters long, and it must contain 1 capital letter. It must at least have 1 small letter. There's a numerical character that it's looking for, and a special character. So you need to be having that. Ensure that you do not use your first name or your surname sequence, because the password is not going to, the system is not going to allow it. The system is not going to take it. Thank you. So I'm going to go back to my system, to my login page, and ensure that you get to proceed from my login. Thank you. Okay, so here is my Gmail. As I've already discussed, the confirmation is going to come like this. I'm going to click on that confirmation email. And it's going to take me, yes, through the email confirmation. Once you click on the login page, it takes you back to the login page. So I'm going to be using my username for login credentials and my password, which is generated. It's going to, okay. Oh yeah, it's a one. It's one. Sorry about that. So it's 10. Okay. Thank you, colleagues. I've got colleagues that are very helpful this side. Thank you. Experience. Username is test one. There's an E missing. .com and the password.
Hi, Lesego.
Yes, then sorry about that.
You are forgetting the @ sign on the email.
Yes, even the email is not there. I keep using the first one that I created, but there's a new one that I'm using for these purpose. Now it should be correct. So it's my password. Okay, there we go. Then moving forward, I'll be logging in. What is it saying? So it says my password is invalid. What am I missing here, guys? No. Okay. Since we didn't copy it right here, just hold on. Sorry about that, colleagues. Okay, colleagues. Moving forward, so I'm going to confirm here. I apologize about the password thing. So give me the option to give a consent on the POPI Act tag once more, and I submit. So this is the point, the screenshot that I showed you earlier for continuation. So this is now where you get a guidance to say at least capital letter. If you look at the highlighted message up there, it's giving you hints in terms of your password reset, the new password reset. So there we go. So here is MAT is now the registered STF, but when you look at the company status, the first thing that you come across with is that it's sitting on a pending registration. So for you to ensure that you have everything in order, you can see that we've got what we call the outstanding task. So every task that comes to your profile is going to be sitting on this dashboard screen. This is the dashboard screen. Every task that comes through is going to be sitting here. There's an edit button that allows you, of course, to continue and proceed with the entering of the STF details. At this point, we are done with the STF details. We are now focusing on the company information details. So when you get to your company information details, you cannot complete your workflow task without ensuring that we have all the relevant information under the company details. So I'm going to be clicking on the company details tab that I get to see, and it's asking for the relationship. I'm just the owner of the company in this case, and it's asking for your responsibility. I'm just one entity. Trading name is also very important. We are trading using the same name as the company name in this instance. And we've got where now the system is looking for your physical address. So for address, you've got this option. When you click on the GPS, I'm going to click on this link, check GPS address coordination. It's an external app there for GPS coordination that really assists us in terms of obviously getting the relevant degrees, minutes, and seconds. So I'm going to click this and put my address here. I will put merSETA's address in this instance. In Johannesburg, and get the address. So once you start typing, you can see that the system does locate and give you the, so it's asking me to allow, and it gives me it populates now the GPS coordinates. So I've got my coordinates listed here. So what you can do to get the coordinates, you can just copy them from here. You can just copy them somewhere else in your notepad where it's going to make your life easier in terms of pasting them in this side of the system. So I'm starting with the latitudes, degrees. So it's this thing. And when I type, you can put any, depending on the address, of course. And for the longitude, I'm going to be using this one. Okay. Okay, so once you get that, I'm using the same address as a physical address. And moving forward, now on the company page, this is very important, and it gets tricky because if this number does not match the next number on the employee side, you're going to have a challenge. So you need to ensure that you have the number of employees, the correct number of employees. So in this case, I will just put 2, and moving forward, we've got the financial year. It's just where you have to indicate your entity to say when is your financial year starting and when is it ending. So in this case, I'll just select any of these months depending. So this is the question where it asks, does a recognition exist between the company organization and the labor organization? If it does exist, you're going to click on this yes, and it's looking for the union, the type of union. So you need to specify. And if it's a no, you see, you don't have to specify the union. So in this case, I'm just going to say yes and look for, let's say, select the union. So it's complaining about, okay, my address, I didn't put, I don't know why it vanished. It's fine, I'll enter it again. So it's number 8, Hillside. Hillside Road. And we are in Cape Town, the city of Johannesburg. And time is Johannesburg. Okay, so obviously the system does some validation. You won't be able to proceed without entering the relevant information that I've specified for, especially for the mid-entry field. So the postal code, okay. So my postal code is 20. Okay. Here's my postal code, and we are in the city of Metro, city of Metropolitan Municipality. There we go. Submitting our company details, happiness, we are saving that information. Moving to the next step, so we are done. We have updated our company details. All the relevant information has gone through, but it shows it's still pending because we are not yet done. So we've got option here that you need to add other SDFs. In this case, I'm just going to add another SDF. Let me just add an existing one for time. And let's see. Okay, so we've got Tracy here as my SDF, and it's asking for me to specify the SDF type. So she's the employee SDF. Then I'm submitting. You can have more than 3, even 4 SDFs. So it depends with the company, if it's a large company or not. Here you've got an option where you must now add the company context. So the system needs other company content. So I'm just going to look for someone. Okay, doesn't exist. Contents. And looking for the contact numbers that I'm entering. Then this is not mid-entry, I'm skipping it. I'm adding the same contact to the training committee, and the user responsibility will be the banking details confirmation. So this is going to be our CFO. Ensure that you've got relevant information. They won't be able to sign in if obviously the email address is not correct, as mentioned earlier. So email addresses needs to be correct, because they're gonna, in this case, they had already received a confirmation. So it has created a registration for the person, the company contact person. So moving forward with the process, I'm not going to link a site, but this is just an icon that allows you to obviously link if you've got more than one site for the company. Then the system does cater for that. Then I've mentioned that I've got 2 employees in this. So I need to populate my 2 employees. So you can either, you have an option of obviously uploading a CSV upload, or you can just enter the people manually, depending maybe with the number of people that you have. So I'm just going to move here. Using a passport. Looking for the date of birth. Is the person the gender, equity, nationality, because I used the passport, then Angolan. Disability is a must. It's a none here. We've got a full course that specializes where you confirm that you are under a training and specialist or something because your company is a training center. There we go. So we've got one employee loaded. I'm going to proceed with the second one manually and move forward. It's a passport. With Indian municipality. You do have an option for disability to even explain what if the user, the contact does have a disability, they can specify from the list it shows. If it's a hearing aid, they can still specify by selecting it here. And yeah, also in training, a training reviewer, this one. Okay. Employment type, are they employed or it's just a contract, depending with the contract that they have with the company and the nationality specified. So I didn't put my passport. There we go. Then back to we are done now completing all the icons. So when you know and you are sure that you have completed all the details and you are still happy with the uploads that you did initially, because you still have an option at this point to either re-upload. Maybe if you're not sure in terms of your company appointment letter, you still have an option to go and get your company appointment letter and obviously re-upload the correct version or the new version that you do have here in this case. So just going to just re-upload. There we go. So it will even show you by an indication of the versions to say this is the second version that you entered. If you are not sure or you've got this option of viewing your document, so you can just open the document for viewing purpose and ensure that you are happy with the right version that you have uploaded there. And once you are happy with updating of all the company details there, then you should be able to then complete your workflow. So I'm going to be submitting the SDF registration workflow in terms of the company details now. There we go. So it has been submitted. And once it has been submitted, there's going to be a notification that you receive in your emails that specifically indicates that there's a pending application that needs to be reviewed by our internal members. So in this case, we have done we have submitted, and you have to log in and go back to the dashboard just to review once the merSETA has done the review. So, okay. So Stanley, I think you can come in while we waiting for the company verification, just if there's something that you think maybe I've missed in terms of the company details or just an explanation, but I know the internal verification. Yeah, thank you.
All right, not a problem. Thanks, Lesego. So colleagues, once the process of submitting the company information detail in the documents and the capturing of the employee numbers and the details around the OFO codes of those said employees, it then prompts an internal process, again, from our internal merSETA team, where now the company is going to be either accepted or rejected. But you will notice one key thing is that the company status is currently pending registration, meaning that it's awaiting certain activities to take place internally within the merSETA. So at this stage, you will not be able to submit, sorry, you will not be able to submit mandatory grants or any discretionary grants up until the company registration process has been completed. So now we are going to approve these company details so that then it begins to show you some of the activities that you will have access to. Once that's done, you will notice that there's a number of screens on the left that the SDF will see. Primarily, they will be using the menu option on the left. If you can click on the SDF. So on the left, there's some few activities that the SDF can do. Under company management, this is just the management of the companies that the SDF is linked to. At this stage, you will be able to obviously then add or update those company information once they've been approved. The example that we use has now been approved and the status is active. You will then be able to obviously do your applications for either mandatory or discretionary grants. Workplace monitoring, this is an activity that's done from our operations team just to obviously monitor the workplace in terms of any active workplace approvals. Grant application, this allows obviously SDFs to submit their mandatory grants under this option for a particular company. Because for this example, we just used one company. You might have 3, you might have 4 as an SDF. They will all appear here, and then it will have their statuses. The project portal is where now the discretionary grants portion happens, where now companies can apply for project-based discretionary grants or pivotal-based discretionary grants. And under the allocation, it just obviously shows the allocations made in terms of discretionary grants for a particular period. So if maybe the company has applied for DG and there's approvals and the MOA has been issued, the allocations will appear there with the details of the allocation, such as the number of learners approved and obviously the MOA value. Now, the learner management as well. This just obviously is an activity where you will be registering learners based on the discretionary grant applications that you did. If you've done Pivotal, you'll be able to register learners here on the Pivotal programs. Or if you're also doing as an SDF, you want to do program approved interventions, you'll be doing it here. Now, the learner details is just the management of the learner details that you would have obviously linked to this company. Legacy learner management, this now obviously if your company was here during the time of the previous information systems that were at merSETA, this is your historic records will sit under there. And then of course, as part of workplace approval, there's the mentor management, which according to the different types of qualifications, the mentor ratio differs. So if you do, let's say, a qualification such as electrical engineering, just as a way of an example, you'll be able to then link a mentor that can then have mentees under that mentor for that particular qualification. And then, of course, there's workplace approval. This is when now you want to apply for workplace approval for a said selected company. So certain qualifications require workplace approval, and that process is then obviously done by our related department within the merSETA. And then, of course, we've got the learners report, which is obviously a standard report that just shows the number of learners linked to a particular company as an SDF that you have linked those learners on. And then we've got the learner mentor list, which is just, as I said, on the mentor management, it just shows the ratios between learners and the mentors within a particular company. And then we've got 4 other additional screens. That is obviously user resources. This is where you'll get your glossaries, your template, and frequently asked questions, This is where you'll get your templates. We upload our grant policies and etc. So this is where you'll get a majority of the information. But do not worry if you don't find a document. You are more than welcome to obviously reach out to us, either via the website comments or questions portion, and one of our colleagues will be able to assist. And then there's obviously the ARPL, which is obviously now for learners that want to apply for ARPL within the merSETA. And then we've got support, which is just standard support context information, which then obviously just has our regional spread and the context there. With that being said, that wraps up the process in terms of the new SDF registration. And if maybe I can just go back to our mini agenda there. We are on the comments just before closure. As I said, time allowingly, we will take some voice comments or questions. The team has been monitoring and responding to the chats in the Q&A section. And I would like to also advise colleagues if they're having any. I would like to advise colleagues that are having technical issues to contact us on our MIS support mailbox. I will post it on the Q&A section so that colleagues, I've seen questions around, documents and some challenges that we will be able to assist. Due to time, we might be only able to take 2 or 3 questions, and I will just unmute a couple of colleagues. I would like us to promptly, obviously, end and close at 10. We've got Shannon. I will unmute you now, Shannon. I just want to get your numbers there before opening up. We've got Shannon. Okay, Shannon, I will be unmuting your mic, and then you will speak. I think you've got the option to unmute. You can come through, Shannon. Shannon Demande.
Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Very
hear
faintly
you.
so. If you can please speak up, Shannon.
I just have a question. So what if an organization
Hi, Shannon.
doesn't have... Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, very faintly. I'm not sure if you are in an echoed room, but I am struggling to hear you, so we might have an issue responding to your question.
Just hold on, I think.
Okay, yeah, maybe just post your question on the Q&A option so that we don't miss your question.
Hi, can you hear me better now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, just a quick one. So what happens if let's say an organization doesn't have a B certificate, or they got let's say less than 10 million, and they don't want to do a B certificate. So what do we do in that regard?
Thanks, Shannon. I think there is a provision that allows companies that do have a turnover on less than 10 million. If you go to the South African Police Services, there is an affidavit that you can use without applying for a BE certificate based on your turnover. So if it's less than 10 million, you would then have to approach the South African Police Services and ask for the BEE affidavit, which was made as an option for companies with less than 10 million. So you can use that.
Okay, and just another one quickly. In terms of, let's say, in terms of linking organizations. So let's say we are a group of, we're a company group. Is there a way for us to link all those levy number into just one place on the system?
So when it comes to linking and levy numbers, it works in this way. If you've got a company that has an L number, and at that maybe location in Cape Town, that's where the payroll runs.
Yes.
But the L number is different from where the training happens.
Yes.
We will not be able to link those sessions. So you will have to create the two entities or link yourself to those two entities. In case where there's a different L number, we can't link that because then due to how SARS does its levy distributions and stuff, they are seen as a different entity.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much.
Not a problem, Shannon. We've got Bernice. I'm just gonna give me a moment here, Bernice. Hi, Bernice, you can come through. And then after Bernice, we've got Courtney Isaacs. And I think that will wrap it up. Just looking at the time, we've got 2 minutes. Bernice and then Courtney.
Good day. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Bernice. Welcome.
Okay. I just want to quickly find out for non-levy paying companies where we purely have to create a profile to register the learners. It still requires BE certificates, tax clearances, company registration documents. It's a lot of documents that's really not required because they're not applying for any grants. Will merSETA accept just a broad letter to state that this is purely for learner registration? Therefore, they will not be submitting all those supporting documents.
Hi, Bernice. I'll just need to get some technical clarity on that from our operations team. Would you mind popping us an email on the MI support email that I'll just paste on the chats? Then I think we can assist you in that case. And then if there are other colleagues that might be suffering or having challenges on the same thing, we will then obviously ensure that we address it when we get to the provider application process.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Courtney, we are saving the best for last. Hi, Courtney, you can come through.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I did post this question in the Q&A as well, but I just needed clarity because I didn't want to miss the first grant window.
Yes.
So I have an employee that would like to do an accounting degree, but the SACWA code that is linked to the degree is not on the Nsdms. And I would like to apply for a bursary for the employee since he has been permanent with the company for longer than 6 months. What do I do? Because I did send an email to have the SACWA code loaded or just like advice on what's the way forward.
Okay. Courtney, maybe let me just put the MIS support email on the chats if it's not up yet. What I'll ask you to do is if you can forward those correspondence to that email address, and then we will gladly coordinate with the relevant business unit to assist. But we are able to load those qualifications, so it will be sorted. Okay, we have come to the end of today's presentation. Thank you so much for availing yourselves. And I would like to also just remind you to please fill in the feedback survey so that we get to obviously get a sense of how it went. But we are looking forward to seeing you at the next one, which is going to be covering the process of submitting mandatory grants. Thank you so much, colleagues. The session is closed.